Welcome back to AP Environmental Science. In today's video, we're going to be covering topic 1.3, Introduction to Sustainability. This is the APCED topic 5.12. Okay, I'm not going to go over all this stuff. You guys. Okay, so what is sustainability? Sustainability is consuming a resource or using a space in a way that does not deplete it or degrade it for future generations. So, what is a resource? A resource can be anything. It could be water, it could be food, it could be land, it could be fossil fuels such as oil and coal and natural gas. And when we practice and perform sustainability, you are going to be using that resource in a way that does not make the initial of what we had originally go down to the point where we can no longer use it. So, for example, we are currently not using a lot of our natural resources sustainably, such as oil and coal. Oil and coal are examples of non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources do not form very quickly. It takes a very long time for them to be made. And when we have non-renewable resources, we are using them faster than they can be made or produced. So we are not using fossil fuels such as coal or oil sustainably. We are depleting them or degrading them or using them up too fast. And future generations are not going to have enough of that resource in order to use it for whatever they might need to use it for, especially when we think about our current society and civilization. We use oil for literally everything. It's not just for cars. They power homes, they power factories. Oil is used to make plastics, and we are using it way faster than it can be made. But in sustainability, we are using it in a way that it is not depleted for the future. Maximum sustainable yield is the maximum amount of a renewable resource that can be harvested without reducing or depleting the resource for future use. It's roughly 1/2 the carrying capacity. Now, we should remember from maybe the Tragedy of the Commons lecture that carrying capacity is how much an environment can sustain or hold a certain amount of individuals. So, for example, the carrying capacity of our classroom is 26 desks. We only have 26 desks. Yes, we have lab tables, but we only have 26 desks, 26 seats. So we only can fit 26 students. That is carrying capacity. If we go over our carrying capacity, we start to deplete those resources, most likely in ways that are going to be too much and too fast and destroying them over time. Okay, so when we are living at the maximum sustainable yield, it maximizes yield, which is how much we can harvest. And it will also regenerate the rate of population. Regenerate means to recover or grow. Okay, and yield is how much you get from something. Okay, like for example, I have 10 pens in my cup, so the yield is only 10 pens. I can't put any more pens in there, it's at its max, so the yield would be 10. Okay, so the next few slides are all environmental indicators of sustainability. I am not going to go through all of these in depth because we are going to move through the course more in depth about these topics. Okay, again, you are not being quizzed on anything in this unit. This is our introductory unit. That way, when we move into future units, you have ecological footprint, sustainability, and the tragedy of the commons all in the back of your mind. Okay. So the next few slides are all environmental indicators of sustainability. What these tell us is whether or not the health of the environment is good and it's sustainable. So the very first thing is biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety and variability of life on Earth. So how many different organisms and how many different species are living in an area at a particular time. Okay, higher biodiversity means healthier ecosystems. The more different kinds of species living in an area, the more biodiverse, the healthier it is. It will most likely be a sustainable ecosystem. Okay, when we have a declining biodiversity, it can indicate pollution, habitat destruction, or climate change. Okay, and global extinction rate. This is how fast we have species that are going extinct. Remember, extinction means every single individual of that species no longer exists. Okay, so we have a really high global extinction rate. It's a really strong environmental indicator since species extinctions, what is this? Oh, determines the richness of Earth. Okay, so high global extinction rate, bad. That is bad. Food production indicates abilities of Earth's soil, water, and climate to support agriculture. Okay. Major threats to food production include climate change, soil degradation, and groundwater depletion. As a reminder, groundwater is our largest source of fresh water on this planet. And we get groundwater when it rains. It trickles through the soil. It actually acts as a really nice, what's the word I'm looking for? Purifier of the water, of any toxins or trickles through the ground. And it stays there until we extract it. That's what wells are for. Now, groundwater, again, number one source of fresh water. When we deplete groundwater, we are depleting our only fresh water source that we use for literally everything, cooking, showering, cleaning, and then absolutely for crops. Okay, you guys, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but students in general tend to think of like the non-bigger things. I myself included, we tend to not think of things that happen outside of our daily life. And water is one of those things where you don't realize how much it is used every single day. Watering our crops, making sure our cattle and livestock across the country have enough water to drink on their own. We need water for all sorts of cooling, for coal power plants, oil power plants, any sort of power plant that you need water cooling, we need water for. Okay, so it's not just us in our daily lives. Okay, so when you're depleting that groundwater, we have an issue. Increasing meat consumption takes a further strain on food production. We'll talk more about this stuff later. Okay. Atmospheric temperature and CO2. This is stuff that we're really going to get into in our upcoming unit, which is Earth systems and global change. So life on Earth does depend on a very narrow temperature range. I know that we have a lot of different temperatures depending on where we are in the world. For example, the temperature in the Sahara Desert will be very different than the temperature here in New Jersey or, down in South America or in Antarctica. But life does depend on a very narrow temperature range. And we are somewhat slowly, but also drastically increasing our average global temperature. And, species out in the wild can't put in AC units like we can. They cannot tolerate different kinds of temperatures, and that is contributing to species loss. And we will get into greenhouse gases, deforestation, and all of this other stuff in our upcoming units. Human population and resource decline. As human population grows, resource depletion grows. It's a directly proportional relationship. The more people we have on this planet, the more resources that we need. More space, more food, and more water. Okay. Oh, that's it? Oh, yay, that's it. Okay, so this wraps up our Unit 1. Please make sure, if you haven't done so already, that all of the concept checks on AP College Board Classroom are done. Make sure your notepad is Make sure your note packet is completely filled in. And if you need anything, please let me know. I will be here to help. Take care, and I'll see you guys all in our next class.